Desiree with theastrologyaddiction.com, and thank you so much for watching. Today's video is going to be on Mars through the 12 zodiac signs. I finished a reading on Venus through the zodiac signs and the moon through the 12 zodiac signs, so I'll put those in the description box. And thank you guys so much for your feedback on those videos. Please like this video, comment, subscribe, and let me know your feedback. It really helps the channel. Mars is our physical energy, our vitality, our ambition, what gets us going in the morning and gets us out of bed every day. It's our sexual ambition, and just anything physical that that you might experience will come through your Mars. Mars is also going to be a very important planet if you have Aries or Scorpio in your personal planets, like say your rising sign, your moon, or your sun, because that means that Mars will be ruling these signs in your chart, so it holds a bit more weight for you. Now, Mars through Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's a cardinal sign and it's a fire sign. Mars does really well in Aries because that is a sign that it rules. So Mars and Aries people are ambitious, energetic, a lot of high energy. They initiate things, they get projects going, they are very quick moving, and they're very impulsive. Mars and Aries people just know innately what to do. Say they're in a situation that is very dangerous, or where they have to think really fast, move quickly. Say they're experiencing some type of a weather disaster, natural disaster, they'll be the ones that will move. They work on their impulses. They follow their gut. They don't really think through things as much as other signs do, but they have that natural gut instinct that is super helpful and important in different situations. So Mars and Aries, they're very lustful, passionate. They're people who probably fall in lust a lot quicker than they fall in love. They get bored easily as well, so they can move on from relationship to relationship just because it's not providing that excitement and that passion that they crave. Mars really needs a high energy partner, someone who maybe likes to do adventurous things, rock climbing, going to do sports with them, just something physical. They want a partner who's not lazy. They really desire that ambition, and they're attracted to that. As far as their career, Mars and Aries would need a high level, energy career, something where they can use their body, be physical, maybe be a leader in a group of some sort. Mars and Aries people don't like to take the back seat. They like to be kind of the front runner in the show. They want to take the lead, and they don't like to take orders or directions from people very well. So something to keep in mind about our Mars and Aries. Mars in Taurus. Taurus is a feminine sign. It's an earth sign, and it's fixed. So Mars and Taurus people are a little bit more slow moving. They are determined, they're steady, steadfast, and they do what they say they're going to do. A Mars and Taurus will finish a project out until the end. They are not someone who stops early. They like to get things done. If you give them a job to do, they will want to continue and just finish it out through the end. They don't really like job hopping or switching projects, very often. They kind of like to stick to one task until it's completed and totally, finished. So they're great with follow through. They're great with doing what they say they're going to do. They're loyal people and dedicated hard workers. They also, if they get backed into a corner, maybe for making a decision, they're someone who, they can't be pushed to do anything. So don't try and push your Taurus Mars friend or partner just to do something that you want them to do, because if it's not their idea, that's not their decision, they're going to feel like you're rushing them, and they don't want to be rushed. They want to make their decision at their slow, steady pace. So definitely avoid that. Make it their idea. Try to make it their idea, and you'll have a lot better luck with getting them to do something that you want them to do. They can be a little bit lazy and sleepy, and just slower with things sometimes if they're not in an ambitious mood, just because Taurus is a sign of indulgence. They like the pleasures of life. They like to take a bath, a nice nap with a fuzzy blanket. They just like sensory things. So that's also something to keep in mind. If you're going to be around them and maybe it's your partner, you want to wear something very soft, smooth. You want to make sure that you're just out of the shower, clean, fresh, those types of things, because they find that really attractive. And as far as their anger as well, Mars and Taurus people they're slow to anger. They take a long time to get moving and to make things happen. If they get upset with you, or if they get mad, angry in some way, they can explode. Just because they hold things in a little bit longer than other people, they're able to keep things calm, stay quiet, but when they do get angry, they're like a bull, you know, they're if they're backed into a corner, they're going to attack. So, you know, you want to just be making sure you're talking with them, making sure they're getting out that energy and not stuffing things up. Now your Mars in Gemini, I have known quite a few people with Mars in Gemini. They are very high energy, very active, very communicative people. They definitely need to stay active and stay busy, or they can get mental like anxiety possibly, just because it's an air sign. You know, Gemini is a masculine air sign. They need to get out that physical energy that bubbles up. And if they don't, it can really kind of poison them in a way. You know, if they're not communicating with people, if they're not maybe going for runs. Usually Mars in Gemini people are very like sporty, play sports throughout all high school, play sports in college. They have to have a high level of physical stimulation is the real word, and especially to keep their mental really healthy. That's why like in high school and stuff, those sports and activities are super important, because it keeps them, you know, able to stay really quick and on top of things, especially since they are studying and, you know, in school at the same time. So sometimes through like adulthood, if they're not keeping that high stimulation level with their mental and their physical, they can get into sometimes slumps or something like that if they allow themselves to get off track. Now Mars and Gemini people, as far as careers, they usually like to be their own boss in some way. They like to do jobs that they can kind of have control of all of the little pieces of the puzzle, because Gemini is focused on those little pieces. You know, they don't always see like the big picture of things. They tackle things in small parts. So they usually like to, you know, be in control of that. Now, as far as a Mars is sexual side and dating side, Mars and Geminis they need a lot of multiplicity. They need duality. They are not very good in monogamous relationships. They can also just kind of have a wandering eye. They may be monogamous and, you know, committed to someone, but they probably, you know, can have more of a flirty side. They may even be able to, you know, satiate that by flirting or by just communicating with people. You know, if they're able to get that out in some healthy way, then it shouldn't be a problem. But, you know, a lot of times they just aren't the types that settle down super early, usually later in life, and it has to be with someone who they have a strong mental connection with and that rapport with them, that they're able to just be life partners and talk through everything, and an understanding partner as well. You know, someone that keeps them curious, keeps them guessing. They can tell stories to, who can tell them stories. You know, they need that communication aspect for sure. Now Mars in Cancer, I have my Mars in Cancer, and Cancer is a water sign and it's a feminine sign. It's also ruled by the moon. So for these people, their moon sign is very important because it will play a lot of, you know, it'll impact their Mars as well. They're pretty moody sometimes, Mars and Cancers, just because that moon in our solar system changes so much. And it's a water sign, so they're just more emotional. Mars and Cancers can be a little bit passive aggressive sometimes. They can be a little bit aggressive. It is a cardinal sign, so they definitely, you know, don't hold back if they need to get something off their chest. They're pretty quick to let people know what they think and how they feel. These people really love to, you know, take baths, be out in nature, you know, swimming is a really good activity for a Mars in Cancer. That's a great sport for them to do. They do need to keep physically active because they can tend to put on some weight if they are not, or if they're in a, you know, a moody state. A lot of times, however they're feeling emotionally really affects their physical energy and their physical body. So if they're sad, depressed, you know, anything like that, it can really affect their physical vitality and their energy. They might want to nap just all day long. They might be lazy and things like that. So keeping a really healthy emotional, you know, high level of emotional health, mental health, those are all super important things for a Mars in Cancer. If they don't have really a nice balance between all of that, you know, something will get off and it can kind of set the balance off, which can affect their work, their relationships, their sex drive, their health, you know, everything. So it's just important for them to have a good level of balance. Now in the bedroom, a really good avenue for them to get out some energy as well is dance, yoga, Some of the more lighter, softer, less restricted types of exercises and activities, those are very good for Mars and Cancers. Now, as far as sexuality, Mars and Cancers, they are really compatible with other water signs or with even earth signs sometimes. They are not super compatible with an air sign Mars because they need that emotional, like just physical thing that the water sign can give. Mars and Cancers are super emotional, especially with their partners in the bedroom. They really need to be like there with you, and it kind of needs to flow really nicely. If there's awkwardness to it or, you know, abruptness to it, that's not really something a Mars and Cancer would do well with. They really need more of like a flow, like dance, like just, you know, smooth energy. Like I would say Mars and Cancers are just very smooth. That would be like a good saying, especially for men. Just super smooth, suave, and in the bedroom like that as well. Now, Mars and Leo loves attention. You know, they love to be the center of attention, center stage. They like to have everyone's eyes on them. So throughout, you know, growing up, high school, they can do things like acting or even sports. They just want to have recognition for, you know, what they're doing. And they're also pretty creative. You know, Mars and Leos are people who really need to have a creative outlet for their physical energy, whether it's art, painting, music, writing, dancing, yoga, you know, something like that, where they can be creative in their physical exercise. That's important. They're also a fixed sign as well, so they are good at sticking out projects. If they put their mind onto one thing, they can stick with it for a long time. They're loyal. Mars and Leos are very loyal. They're very trustworthy. As long as you're giving them back that same energy, they will continue to do it with you. But they can also kind of get distracted, like Mars and Leo, if they're getting attention from someone else in the time being while you're not giving them that same attention. You know, they can kind of lean into it a little bit. You know, be like, well, I'm not getting attention from this person, so I'm going to go over here for a little while and maybe make this person jealous or just get my needs met in the meantime. So that's something to keep in mind. In the bedroom, Mars and Leos are very flamboyant. You know, they want to try different things. They want to see you laughing, smiling. They want to make you feel really good about yourself, and they want you to do the same, you know, to compliment a Mars and Leo, like on everything, make them feel like they're the king. If they don't feel like you're there with them, if they think you're thinking about someone else or something else, they will really just turn off and just shut down. So definitely making them feel like they're the only person in the world and the best, and you know, that they're God's gift to life is really what you want to do with the Mars and Leo. You just want to make them feel super confident, like they're the king of the king of what you guys are doing, and they're the best that's ever been of that. Mars and Virgo, my best friend has this. Mars and Virgos are, you know, they love to have a nice routine, a scheduled out week, a scheduled day. They're the types of people who plan their planner by the hour, by the minute. They really need to have that structure in their life to keep physically busy, or sometimes they can get into a rut. If their physical environment is a mess, if they have, you know, dishes and clothes and just things all array, that can be a symbol of like where they're at, you know, if they're emotionally like a little bit out of it, if they're all over the place with their house and their physical environment, then you know that something's off. People also with this Mars tend to work in like the healthcare industry or helping people in some way, because they are so giving. And a Mars and Virgo's the sign of, you know, selflessness. It is the sign of servantry, so they really find themselves in career paths that are there to serve people and help people. So something in the service industry or healthcare industry is usually what you would see. Now, as far as partners go in the bedroom, they definitely like to have a bit of a power play. Virgo Mars usually likes to do some type of a sub-dom type of a thing. They like to be controlled. They like to have a partner who, like, even if they're, say, a boss or CEO in their workplace, they usually like to have someone a little bit more controlling, so they can be more just submissive in the bedroom, or vice versa. You know, they might want to be more dominant, just because sometimes they need that that control somewhere, you know, where that plays out. And they definitely like good sense, nice environment. Everything needs to be nice and clean, and just a lot of physical touch. They don't really like abrupt like changes, so they want to anticipate what's to come, so communicate with them. It's ruled by Mercury as well, so they want to have someone who talks to them, who, you know, tells them different things in that scenario, and just lets them know what to anticipate, so they're not super surprised, because that might take them off guard a little bit. Now, Mars in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus, and it is a masculine air sign. A lot of times I've seen Libra Mars people who are super like in relationships a lot. You know, they will be in maybe like always in a long-term relationship, or even just switch from long-term to a short-term to long-term. They just like connection and partnership. So you see them just often not being alone. A Mars in Libra doesn't really like being alone, like solitude. Maybe they live alone and they have like their own house and stuff, but they go out and about a lot. You know, they want to be out with their friends every weekend. They want to travel to see, you know, a boyfriend or something like that, or just go out on a lot of dates, because they maybe don't like to be alone. They are very social, and they definitely need that social interaction and a lot of communication. Since it is an air sign, they really thrive on that. A Mars in Libra is a cardinal sign as well. So they wake up in the morning, you know, and they tackle what needs to be done without thinking twice about it. You know, whatever restrictions and limitations might be happening for them. They just, you know, they don't want to wait and, you know, wait for whatever will happen to them. They want to make things happen. And so if whatever they need to do that, they go for it. They're not passive in that way. You know, if they're not happy with where they're at physically, they'll go to the gym 7 days a week, get a trainer, you know, all of those things. And if they're not at where they're at in their career, they're not afraid to make a change. You know, and with their partners too, romantically, they certainly like a lot of communication, high level communication. So in the bedroom, that type of thing, if you're talking to them, complimenting them, you definitely want to like wine and dine Mars and Libra. They like just gestures and things like that. So bring them flowers, you know, take them out to dinner, buy them a nice outfit or a nice gift. They really like treasure that and value that. But they are really good with like Geminis or Aquarius, because they're kind of in their head. Some of the earth signs, water signs really need someone to be there, like physically gazing them in the eyes, just like there in the moment. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, you know, they're air signs. So they want to talk, they want to hear stories, they want to they don't really want to focus so much on the physical. They're more in their head, like when they're with a partner romantically, intimately. And that's just kind of how I've seen it play out. So they're not really like too serious about it. They might not take it super serious. And as I mentioned, they can be the partner, the person who, you know, jumps from relationship to relationship pretty quickly, because they're more social in that way, and they like that connection. They don't get super emotionally tied to people as easily as some of the other Mars might. Now your Mars in Scorpio. Mars in Scorpio people are intense. They're pretty straightforward people. It's a fixed sign, so once they set their mind onto something, they will, you know, stick with it for a long period of time. They can be pretty loyal, but if they feel like someone is you know, lying to them or whatever, or, you know, deceiving them in some way, they can turn around and just shut it off and like ignore you, give you the cold shoulder. I say these people are like the masters of that. If they feel like they're being hurt or lied to or deceived, they will shut down, and you know, it takes them a long time to forgive people. If they do forgive, they usually never forgive people. They usually always hold grudges like that if someone has betrayed them in some way. A Mars in Scorpio is, you know, super emotional and doesn't really like to do just the surface level things with a partner. You know, if you're in a relationship with them romantically, it would be something that they would want to know every secret of yours. They want to know about everything you've done. They also want to possess you in a way, you know, they would be the ones where they're like, make you get their name tattooed on them or something, or, you know, get your name tattooed on them. They want to lock it down if they're serious about you. They are very possessive, can be jealous at times, you know, and want all of you to them at all times. Now, physically, these people are very resilient. They can fight to the end, you know, especially in career. They're the ones that want to, they'll stick with a job for a really long period of time, even if it's not like perfect for them, because they see like, if I stick with this is where it's going to get me, or, you know, this might happen. And, you know, this is kind of what I'm striving for. So they're strong in that way. And if they need to change jobs, if they get fired, or if something happens, again, they're strong and resilient, that they'll keep pushing through and keep going and doing what they need to do to make it happen. They can also be a little bit fearful, like that people are, and kind of paranoid that people are trying to trick them and deceive them or hurt them in some way, or that, you know, something in life's going to happen to them that's just gonna change everything and mess things up. So they can tend to stick around people that they're comfortable with, maybe that they can control, or that they know are going to be there for them, whether it's family or in a relationship. Like they're the person that stays with someone because they are safe. They have a house, they have a job, they have a lot of these things that are just safe and secure, because it's more comfortable for them than going out and being alone or fighting for what they really want, or taking a chance in a relationship that they maybe aren't comfortable in, just because it's a little bit more safe for them to be in a situation that they can control. Mars in Scorpio is all about control. But Mars rules the sign, so it's a very well-placed Mars, and on high-functioning people, they can be very powerful. So now Mars in Sagittarius, Kim Kardashian has this placement. Mars in Sagittarius is a fire sign. Sagittarius is an immutable sign, so they are not afraid to change things up. You know, if they need to change their direction or what they're doing, try something new and exciting, they're usually really open-minded like that, and like the opportunity, like the fun, like the adventure of things. They need that high, you know, stimulation through whatever they're pursuing, whether it's a partner or a job or, you know, just anything in their life. They need a lot of high excitement to keep them going with it. These people really like to have fun, like to party, like to go out, like to, you know, be out and about. As I mentioned, you know, it's a fire sign, so they need to keep active and have a good physical, you know, routine, workout routine, maybe have a trainer, just so that they can get that that hot energy kind of going out of them, or it can build up. They also are people who love attention. They like to be the center of attention. They tend to be people who think that they're, you know, always right, and maybe are a little bit rigid in that. They can be people who maybe don't want to change their way of thinking very easily, or even their way of behaving, because they don't see anything wrong with it. Like they could be the person who maybe dates like 5 of the same exact type of guy over and over and over again, and they just don't see what they're doing wrong. You know, they don't see where they're, you know, having that issue and why they're attracting that, because they can kind of blame other people for that type of thing. But they can be great people to work with and to have on your side, because they are so passionate and, you know, exciting. They can be great leaders in a team because they have that high, you know, ambition, and they can get other people excited about things as well. Now, Mars in Capricorn, this is probably one of the strongest, most hardworking, dedicated places that you can have your Mars. These people are hard workers. They can be really hard on themselves and other people as well, because Saturn is ruling this sign. And, you know, Capricorn is a feminine earth sign, so they want to have real tangible results from things. You know, if they're putting in all of this hard work and they're not getting paid enough, or they're not getting enough in return for what they're giving, they will feel resentful, feel hurt, and all of those things. So that is usually like they're the types that want to climb the corporate ladder, or want to be their own boss in some type of a way. They're great leaders, they're great managers, and they are really, you know, dedicated and hardworking people. They're also very loyal and caring. You find these people doing something where they're giving back to the community a lot, because they they have that responsibility like weighed on them. You know, they want to make change, they want to achieve things, they want to build structures and put up, you know, things in place that can help them, help their family, help other people. They're usually quite giving, but you know, they can get a little power hungry and power crazy if they allow themselves to. You know, in the bedroom and relationships, they are also a sign that likes kind of power dynamics, maybe sub-dom types of things. I would see them being more of like the dominant person, you know, wanting to get that out. Not to say that they're like masochist or anything like that, but I have seen that. And they like a real like earthy, physical, raw connection with someone. They probably aren't the type of person who just jump into bed with multiple people over and over again. They're probably a little more cautious and careful with who they interact with and who they link up with, because they are just so, they're very sensitive. You know, you can't pretend like they're not. Capricorn is a feminine sign. And if they don't see what they're putting in with a relationship, and you know, especially in that sexual sense, if they're giving you and they're not returning, they can get pretty upset about that. But they are definitely very physical when it comes to that, and they want someone who gives them that good balance of attention and confidence boosting and physical touch, but also that, you know, leaves them alone when they want to be left alone, especially when they're doing their work. Now, Mars in Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign for Mars where they are very detached. You know, they can get to work and do a lot of different types of work or activities, and they keep going. You know, they're the type of person who will keep going at something, even if it's like physically painful or hurting them, or if they're in sports, you know, maybe they have an injury and they just keep going because they can kind of detach from what they're doing in a way. And that plays out in their relationships and their sexual partnerships. Sometimes they can get into, you know, partnerships with people where they're not really emotionally attached or mentally attached. It's just all physical. They're also very social, very communicative. It's an air sign, and it's a fixed sign as well. So they can get a little bit stuck in their ways. Maybe they're a person who they can date in kind of a unique way. Maybe they date multiple people, or they're like in a polyamorous type of a relationship. Just more unique ways. Like they're open-minded, you know, they don't stick to the same types of people. They may be a little bit stubborn about their freedom, you know, like, give me my freedom, I need my freedom, I'm not compromising to be in a monogamous relationship with you for anything. But you know, I'll date all these different people and I don't really care because it teaches me something. They just want to learn, you know. Aquarius is curious. It's an air sign, so they want to communicate to as many people as they can. They want to socialize, they want to travel and explore. But you know, as they get older, they might realize, wait, it's a little more comfortable for me just to be with like one person. These people are also, you know, in the workplace, pretty hard to control. They want to be, they're great bosses, you know, they're great leaders, and they're very innovative. They work really well like in tech fields or in just social types of environments where they have a lot of like a team that they're working with, because they like to collaborate. And but they also need that freedom. You know, they really are a sign who needs to be able to make choices for themselves, you know, within a certain parameter. You know, they're, as I said, they're a fixed sign, so they stick with their decisions and they stick things through to the end, but they need to have that kind of choice. They don't like to be pushed in a corner to make a decision, or pushed in a corner at all to like be a certain way, especially when you're trying to like box them in a like if their family wants them to be a doctor or something there, and there's no flexibility there, that would be something that would make them feel like really, you know, resentful. They wouldn't follow through with that because it's not their path. You know, they need to have freedom of choice. Now, your Mars in Pisces, these people love to dance, they love to create, they might love to paint or just do anything artistic. They can sometimes be a little reclusive and want to stay home, or just want to stay in their comfort zone. They can be super sensitive. So physically, if they're out and about, you know, and they're getting a lot of stimulation, they might really need to take a step away, go into a quiet space, go back home, take a rest. Just because their physical body is just so like connected to everything. You know, they feel the energies from negative people. They feel the energies from the trees. They feel the energies from all different areas coming in, and they kind of soak things up. So they really need, like, you know, they need to make sure they're doing cleanses really often. So having like crystals around, doing sage cleanses, cleaning their house, organizing things, releasing, getting rid of things. They have to be really aware of the physical energy, or they can get depressed, or they can get anxiety, they can get sad, they can just get very down on themselves if they're not doing that releasing that they need to do. Mars and Pisces are also people who don't really have boundaries. They usually don't set strong boundaries with people. Like, they might meet someone and just bring them all into their life and soak them up for a week, and then you know, they break up with that person, or that person breaks up with them, and they're kind of left with a mess to clean up, and it's emotionally draining for them. So that's usually something they have to learn throughout life, is, you know, learning how to create physical boundaries between people, learning how to create those emotional boundaries with people as well. And then sexually and in physical relationships, they definitely are giving. You know, they're certainly one of the most giving signs. They will do almost anything that you want them to do to make you happy. They are very selfless, really do whatever you want them to do in that way. So they like to touch, they like to be physical, they like to cuddle. They're very just very emotional signs. So they probably just want to be like snuggled up next to you and just merging with you whenever you're together. They're not really afraid of that. They're not really afraid of touch or anything like that. So they usually are people who constantly kind of want that and that connection. They can also be people who sometimes, you know, might be really like sleepy, might be somebody who dreams really intense dreams. They can even maybe have a little bit of an indulgent side with alcohol, drugs, things like that, because Pisces is just so floaty, and you know, they want to get out of their conscious like body. Sometimes their emotions can be so heavy, and their responsibilities or whatever can be really heavy, so they need an outlet. And a lot of times that's just like sleeping pills, even drugs, alcohol, or even like something healthy. You know, a good way for them to do that is through yoga or swimming or exercise, even of any sort, where they're able to ground themselves. They need something that keeps them just like physically grounded to the earth, or they will just really just like go off the planet and out into space. So that's usually something that over time they really do work on and can get right if they learn to set those boundaries for themselves in their routines, in their life, and with other people, and who they allow into their life. So thank you guys so much for watching. This is Mars through the 12 zodiac signs. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And again, please see my link in the description box if you'd like to book a reading. Have a great day. Bye.